The Search Podcast USA Edition series is sponsored by Ascen. Ascen is a top employer of record in North America that exclusively helps staffing and recruitment agencies hire contractors compliantly throughout the US and Canada. Ascen's all-in-one white-label platform handles onboarding, timesheets, payroll, benefits, insurance, invoicing, and optional financing so you can grow quickly in the US and Canada. Start growing your staffing agency in the US today with Ascen. Visit us at ascen.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Search Podcast. I'm Elliott Manning, the Managing Director of Cayman Recruitment Group. Bit of a different episode to the usual that goes out there. I'm not going to be interviewing any guests for this particular episode. It's just going to be me speaking, a short version of how you can get better quality, gain access, and make a difference to your business when using outsourcing and offshoring services for your company, whether you're in the UK or predominantly for the sake of the series and what we've been doing, also in the USA as well. Within the Cayman Recruitment Group, I set up a business about 14 months ago called Vitro Outsourcing. Vitro is based in South Africa. We utilize this model for our own business. So there's a bit of a background to kind of where this has all come from. About 2.5 years ago, I decided that our US team needed some support on research and delivery, and was kind of lacking on some talent in terms of finding them in the UK to support it. So having family, that have lived in South Africa, and having a good understanding on how it all kind of operates over there and the difference in currencies and costs, etc., I decided to start exploring the South African market. And I found a phenomenal recruiter who had experience working in the rec-to-rec space and was able to support our delivery efforts based out of Cape Town. So we carried on with that model. We started to build it up. It was going really, really well. Then hired another person and then another person and started to see a lot of progress on our delivery to our clients in the UK and US in this instance. Moving forward into 2025, I sat down with our board and was seeing the opportunity in the staffing and recruitment market that a lot of companies could do with, some support from South Africa within their own businesses. So we decided at this point to build Vitro Outsourcing. Vitro itself is Afrikaans for trust. So Trust Outsourcing was a business that was built out to support the staffing industry with anything from resource to sales, 360 to anything back office. Last year, we ended up growing the business to around circa 13, 14 heads now. We've got staff in Cape Town in our office. We've got Joburg, Durban, and Jeffreys Bay. And, this year we can see a lot more exciting plans for growth. But the most important thing was what we could have added, what we were adding to the industry. We were working with recruitment companies in 8 different countries at this point. In 2025, we placed over 125 people into the recruitment industry from South Africa. And, it was a proven model that was working and growing for everyone else. It was fantastic. I think around about 60, 70 recruitment firms, had worked with us and, still are into 2026. What we do is we provide support around, employment, everything around employment. So we cover the employer of record. We take control of HR, the pay runs every month. We look after anything that potentially could be in a legal aspect. But the most important thing that we provide is the quality talent piece first of all. And then we deal with everything else, separate to that. If you've got a business in the UK, Dubai, USA, and you're looking at additional resource support, you are job heavy, you're looking for more sales, you're looking for administration, marketing, finance support, explore South Africa. It is a game changer, not just naturally just due to the cost differences, which is one of the biggest factors why people do this. But in my opinion, it's more to do with the quality that you're going to get out of it. You're going to get some very loyal, hardworking, dedicated, ambitious recruiters from the South African market who are, going to give you every minute of every day to do what they can to be successful for your business. Obviously, providing that you treat them as well as you can in return. But ultimately, they will give you what you want and need. But look, when everyone asks me about South Africa, like, it's great, we can save a load of money, we can hire, good talent. It's about how you manage it as well. So I'll give an example, and a case study, if you like. We work with a company based out of Texas. They are a phenomenal business in the engineering and construction market, have done incredibly well over the years. They started to change their way of working over the last 12 months, where they were utilizing a lot more around their CRM system and their database, and just trying to work with the setup and the systems that they've already got. So they built a 180 model, and they have set up a team in their office where they're purely account management led. And then they decided to hire everyone that was on the delivery basis in South Africa. They've now got 15 people in South Africa in the space of less than 12 months who are sitting there just predominantly covering the database, the resourcing, qualifying candidates and passing it over to the AMs. And the account managers have got a constant flow of candidates coming through who have been fully vetted, predominantly exclusive, coming through, a phenomenal system, and they're making a ton of placements constantly. The model for them worked because they were very, very invested in this. They wanted this to be a success from the minute it started. They weren't looking at this as a risk or let's kind of dip our toe in and see how it goes. They went in straight away. So their first phase of hiring was 5 heads. They built the team straight away. We helped them source that in Cape Town. We then helped them source an office space. We then helped them predominantly put a setup and an infrastructure together, which is what we help our clients with, to make sure that they had a successful methodology around it all. And then they took over and it just went from strength to strength. They then started to hire in different locations in the South African market to give them more exposure to talent, but haven't looked back. And this year I expect them to be around 25, 30 heads and keep that growing momentum. They've seen a huge reduction in costs naturally, so they've hired unfortunately less people in the US to do the same kind of role. They've put all the investment into South Africa and have got multiple heads for what in essence would cost them for one, but they've got the hard work, the dedication. They work US hours, and the delivery and support is phenomenal. The way it works really also well for them is that they're very target driven. They're very KPI led, which gives them the recruiters and the talent a directive to work towards. They integrated them fully into the business, which was extremely important. They're collaborating with them constantly. The owners back and forth from the States to South Africa to give them that investment that they need. And he's really seen that growth come to fruition in all ways for his business. There's a lot of companies doing it in the same way. And there's a lot of companies that we work with in the UK, for example. They've got, small businesses, maybe 10, 20 people. They're doing the US market from the UK. But they don't want to hire in the US because they don't have either the funds to do so. Maybe they don't want to start setting up an office or going through all of those motions, or they're just seeing a good success rate from the UK to US with UK salaries. They don't need to go to that extent and pay US salaries. So what we're doing is we're providing them South African talent from different locations, whether it's Cape Town in this instance. These recruiters are working for the UK business, doing the US market. So they've kind of leveraged that resource and delivery model. And some companies that we work with in tech, for example, sales as well, and they're supporting, the recruiters, account managers, whoever it may be, to provide them with more candidates to get out to market in the US. So there's options for everybody, all disciplines, all markets, industries, geographical locations. There's options and opportunities for everybody. But I think the most important thing to take away from when you're looking at outsourcing is you've got to trust the process. You've got to go in with, I suppose in this with a strong invested idea that this is going to work for you and it's not just a punt. And, you're going to give everything and 100% behind this in your business model to make it work. We are continuing our growth into 2026 for Vitro Outsourcing with different solution offerings around BPO, offshore, outsourcing, so we can cater for all staffing firms, whether you're in the United States or whether you're in the UK, Canada, over to our side of the world in the UK to Europe. It doesn't matter. This model fits everybody. The time alignment works great. And, there's plenty of recruiters that are extremely qualified, plug and play, that can get this moving for you from day one. If you have any questions on South Africa and how outsourcing, offshoring, or a BPO model can work for your business, reach out, let me know. Happy to go through all the information with you. provide you references, case studies that other firms have seen success within this model. But I think what a lot of firms take away from this is that I've done it myself. I've utilized the model for our own business. That's how we started this. So I've seen all angles of it, good and bad, and ultimately can help, direct people in the right place to make sure that it works for their businesses. If anyone has any questions, reach out, let me know. And thank you for listening to this episode. I'll speak to you soon. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Search Podcast. This is part two, follow-on addition to a previous episode, talking all about South Africa and how the outsourcing model can really help recruitment businesses, particularly in the startup mode, who are operating across the UK, European markets, but also the US as well. On this episode, I've got George Martin with me, who runs a business called Elev8 Engineering. 2 years now into his business, his journey, and is exploring and looking at ways and means that he can build his business over into South Africa. But George, I'll let you take away an introduction of yourself and what you're trying to achieve with the business.
Yeah, so as El said, I'm George. I'm the founder of Elev8 Engineering. We specialize solely within the building services design space. So anything across construction that is design focused, that's what we cover. I think El alluded to the fact that I've tried the UK market with recruiters. It was working okay, and then shifted to a South African focus where I've hired a couple of recruiters. And it's working really well, building out the business quite nicely over there, creating a delivery function, as well as onboarding a couple of recruiters who are going to be doing 360 as well.
Awesome. I mean, look, obviously I'm your business partner, and I kind of was. I think it took me about a year to get you to understand the idea and the concept of where South Africans can help your business model, and work with you to, I suppose, to get as much traction as in the markets that you needed. We went down the UK route. Hired a couple of people, just wasn't getting the right talent through, let's be honest. And, that's the same with a lot of businesses right now. But what changed your mind with, taking that leap of faith into hiring South Africans and getting them to support with Elev8 Engineering?
Yeah, I'll be totally honest. I've been, my entire recruitment career has been fully focused in office 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I've never, ever been in a business or in a situation where I've been able to work fully remote or have anyone work fully remote. So I was so set in my ways where I wanted to have people in office 5 days a week, and that was just how the business was going to be run. Typical, like, old school boiler room.
Yeah, that's what you're used to, though.
That's what I'm used to. But yeah, look, I decided to take a leap of faith. I started working from home every now and then just to test it out myself to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
Turns out I could. Didn't really trust myself to do it, but when I've done it, it actually worked. So I thought, why not? I'll take the leap of faith. I'll give someone a go out in SA, and yeah, it works.
You had a challenge with it right at the beginning, and we'll tell the listeners in terms of like your experience and the journey of it, because it's what other people do go through. So let's be real with the facts of, we hired someone in South Africa initially. They were based in Johannesburg, phenomenal recruiter. They were great, but you had an element of like trust issues on timing and just kind of making sure that they were, working to the extent that you expected them to work with anyone that would be in your business. And, it kind of really got to a point where you were, I want to use the term like just coming to, I suppose maybe let's say coming to terms with the fact that they're not with you every day. They are remote. You need to track what they're doing. And it was a good learning curve for you, but you had some challenges of it initially. What were they?
Yeah, it's the trust thing, I think, for me. It's not having someone who's around you 24/7 that you can teach new things, go over, help them with calls, that sort of stuff. You never really quite know what's going on when you're not there. And yeah, I had to get over that. And yeah, I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't be in the position where we are as a business today if I didn't.
And now you're in a position right now going into 2026 where you're looking for your third and fourth hire in South Africa.
Yeah.
And, the business plans, whether your concentration is going to be UK or even doing the US, you're looking at hiring those people to join the team. You're not really too fussed at the moment where in South Africa they are. I mean, coincidentally, they both, at the moment are in Johannesburg, and potentially you're looking at hiring more people there or in Cape Town.
Yep.
But, this is the strategy moving forward now, is to build that delivery and resource model to support you. I mean, you can tell the audience a little bit more about, I guess, kind of what your ambitions are for the business with this team over in SA now.
Yeah, cool. So I think what is really important to help attract the right people to the business, whether they're UK based or whether they are South African based, is to have the right structure in place in order to help grow that business and grow each individual in the right way. I think where we are still technically within our startup phase, we are quite malleable to the right people that come in. So as long as that person's got the right attitude and they want to come in and learn the business and want to come in and learn from myself directly, then that's what the right type of person is for me to go and pull the trigger on.
Yeah.
I think that with the extra hands that we've got over there at the minute and their experienced recruiters, what you'll probably get with people over there is the fact that because there is a bit of a time difference, you will find that they're up earlier than you are, they're starting work a little bit earlier than you are, and they're probably getting a little bit more of a head start than most of the people that are in your market as well, which is beneficial to us, obviously. But yeah, as I think was you said earlier on, is the fact that we're gonna help grow the UK side of the things first, and then eventually branch out and work US.
Yeah,
we've been able to hire one person at the moment who is working purely on a research basis, not directly working with any candidates, just doing the initial reach out. Once there's interest there, that's when they're passed over to me to then deal with throughout the whole process. We're now onboarding someone who is joining the business as of next week, who is a 360 recruiter coming in, who's going to be dealing with clients, dealing with candidates. Anyone who she's going to be dealing with, client or candidate, I'm going to be able to go out and meet because I'm London based. So that can still work from that element. It depends how you run your business, right? If you still pride your business on being out and about and every consultant and every recruiter meeting everyone, it's not going to work. But if you are working with a business where you don't necessarily have to get out and about all the time, then this is definitely a good model.
I mean, a lot of firms, what they've ended up doing, and as you know, because you hear us with, dealing with it all the time, they've got all of their teams situated in the US, UK. They've built a complete delivery resource model in South Africa that are helping them. Even the client account management side, or even 360, it still works. But unfortunately, these days, there's a lot of video calling that goes on, and it doesn't mean that you need to sit in front of someone in an office. So it does work at both parts. But we've got plans now with the business to, bring in contract recruiters, to bring in people that will be able to do business development for you from South Africa. Again, set up meetings for you to go and attend to in the UK if needed, or even the US. And the model now has allowed your business to be a hell of a lot more profitable. You're probably saving 45% now against your salary costs, which is allowing your business to have a bigger, I suppose, gap on the P&L for profit, which has changed the game for you. And you've got, as a startup in this industry, you're not sitting there suffering. It's a very strong word to potentially use, but the stresses of hiring talent with big cost, big outlay, and still at this point you're getting decent quality talent, but they're returning the investment for you a lot quicker, and it's put you in a much more of a comfortable spot.
I think I was pleasantly surprised with the level of recruiter that you would find out there for the amount of money that you're obviously going to be putting into someone on a yearly basis, should we say. I mean, look, let's be honest. If you're going to find the right talent, you'll pay them what you need to get them on board. And I think anyone who's a recruitment founder will be able to tell you is that finding those people is tough. But I've been pleasantly surprised with finding the right people at the right times and finding them in markets that are very similar to what I've been doing, as well as working UK market. So it's not as hard as finding talent in the UK.
No, and there's no. I mean, I'll ask you this question. What traits do you believe these guys and girls have in South Africa that you're getting in terms of, credibility, personality, drive, ambition, all that good stuff? What are you seeing from them that I'm not saying you wouldn't see from anyone in the UK or the US, but just from the people that you've spoken to and employed?
For the people that I've spoken to and taken on board, and even people that I haven't taken on board, I think a lot of it is a lot of these people do want to learn. A lot of these recruiters are keen to get behind the desk or get behind the computer and crack on with learning a different market if they're not in your market already. I think the main thing for me, whether it was a UK hire or an SA hire, is just having the ambition to want to go above and beyond. And the people that we've got and the people that we're going to be going and hiring this year are going to be those people that want to exceed their target and not just necessarily, happy with a steady Eddie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been good to listen to your journey with this, George. And I think that, if any South African recruiters in the construction engineering markets are looking to gain a new opportunity this year, reach out to George, reach out to me. I'll introduce you to George for Elev8 Engineering to explore opportunities in his business. He's gonna, I say he's gonna. We're looking to probably treble in size this year in the South African team and really just kind of take advantage of the opportunities that we've got. But I want to reiterate to those audiences listening, it's not about always the money. I know that it's a big subject matter when it comes to South Africa, and I do not like. I've seen some advertisements recently in some companies that are launching, and they're talking about save money, save money, save money, save money. Like these are people we're talking about in South Africa that are earning the money that is relevant and on the right balance for their currency that they're in rand. So it's not like they're being underpaid; they're treated like a service. This is the right way. They're being paid good money. Some of them are paid more money than they're asking for because they need to get looked after. But ultimately, it's more about the quality and what you're going to get with it with employing these guys and girls. All it's done and is doing is creating less strain on the business. And in recruitment, as everyone knows, the biggest cost in recruitment is salaries. So if you can find an alternative to that and people using automation, AI for that, regardless, you could just hire people, give them an opportunity, and they'll return, I suppose they return the investment on their efforts and their capable qualities that they have. But look, been good to chat to you, mate. I just wanted to get you into, just explain to the audience, I suppose, your experience as a startup and what it's done for you, what it's going to do to you. Your turnover in your company each year now has gone up and up and up with at least a 50% increase.
Yep.
And this year it could be even 100%. So if it definitely works, get in touch with us. Let us know if you need anything, guys and girls. Thanks for listening in and appreciate your time, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.